if we came to say this is Kochvey Or, came to say the history of the life of this great giant, Rabbi Chosel Nachman Chazan Tulchin, we won't have, there are not enough papers in the world. And Rabbi Nazar said every one of his person, and any one of his people, you can make such a sefer. Nachman Tulchin, it wouldn't be one sefer. So here they want to talk about the life of Nachman Tulchin. I think that it's important that being this entire sefer talks a lot about the Anshe Rabbeinu, we should talk about here, Nachman Tulchin. Mention a few details of his life so we know who we're talking about. He was the one who carried the Noson's way, and he was the father of this huge tree, the Mechaber of Bira Likutim. He was the Rosh Chabura Sa'adim in Uman, who was called Rabbi Nachman, that gave over the clean das of Rabbeinu to future generations, the way that he received it from his father, Reb Nachman Zal. He was the head of his Talmidim, Shamshim, Shosim of Nosim. Now, this we need to know, that these people who were on the level of angels, that the entire Avodah was totally concealed. Mimela, everything that we say about them is like pointing out. We don't really know. We're only talking about percentage of a percentage of a percentage of what they really were. So first of all, we'll say what Rabbi Nachman himself says about Kochvey Or over there. He says, I was awakened to recognize and to see the greatness of my father, Rabbi Nachman from Tulchin. That Rabbi Nosson said to me before, that Rabbi Nosson said about him, before Rabbi the son of Rabbi Ron Chaim from Uman, with this lashon: I'm preparing everything with a pen, and afterwards it'll be the ability of Rabbi Tulchin to lead all Anshe Shlomeinu. He calls them the wheel. He says he'll be able to roll the wheel, even though he was a Yosef. Because he was a Yosef, he wasn't such a big lamda. Even though he read, he learned a lot, and the main Shemesh and Shkila was on the doors of his Rav. There was nobody, and all the people of Reb Nosson that was standing by Reb Nosson's door like him for 14 years. Even Reb Moshe and his father Reb Zanvel were the important Reb Nosson that also grew up in his house. At all their days when they were blessed, they would come to Reb Nosson only in Shabbos at the end of the night, so the Shabbos by Nacht. And Shabbos by day and Shalshulas and Moshe Shabbos. And then they went to sit in Cherim. They didn't stand before him only at a long time that he was in Cherim, a week or two in the winter. And then in the summer, a week or two, maybe Rosh Hashanah and Uman, maybe once or twice, and Moshe also went with him, but it doesn't come close to the dvekus and the shimush and the amidah that my father was there for Nosson. He says, if I was there throughout his early days, early years, to know so much of his importance and his stature, the way that I actually have finally leaned my ear to see like 3 years, I know that I wouldn't have gone through all this trouble and such aniyas and such dachas, and until today I didn't explicate. And now I see when he says about Yeshua Binu, we'll never understand, he didn't move from Moshe Rabbeinu's tent Of course he was an Oived Hashem. Of course he was Borach Menachet, he ran away from the sin. Afal Bichem, his avodah, that if he would have made his avodah twice as much, but he wouldn't have been so, connected to Moshe Rabbeinu, as Chazal said, he wouldn't be the one to fulfill his place afterwards. So became Moshe Rabbeinu put his hand on him, it's such a mile. So in any place, in so many places, the Torah calls the Mishar as the servant of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Kassisa, Mishpata, Mishasa, his servant. V'aloscho, Misharas Moshe. In the beginning of Yeshua, Sefer Yeshua, the book of Yeshua, it says, Misharas Moshe. You can feed the greatest of the Nosson. V'zoichel the Koch of Rabbeinu. Koch Rabbeinu, he was zoichel the Pnei Moshe Atzmei. He was with the face of Moshe Kaviyachol. This is what they said, that in all the people of Nosson, there was no one who served, who whatever it is called, was glued to a Nosson like him, was mekabel all the word Pel Peh, everything that was necessary to write. And the algosha that he had in the words of Nosson, he totally was mafke himself. He just totally cares from his youth. He wouldn't even think about malacha and gashmis avodah. He went to Nosson twice every month to hear the living words of God, pashut. That Nosson would see from Rabbeinu, and whatever was mechadish with Rabbeinu was putting his hand on him. This is Likut Halachas that we know, that everybody knows. Because that is not doimer. Somebody who sees him in the Sefer, as we said in Yutes, or somebody who hears it from his holy mouth, that he heard it from Nosson himself. And he says, and this feeling that my father was there to feel, in the words of Nosson, he accepted on himself unbelievable poverty. Unbelievable poverty for years. And he was working hard to copy all the 6 volumes in a way that would be ready to print them. Because Nosson wrote so fast that many times the letters connected to one another. It was very difficult to print from them. He didn't save any money, Nosson didn't give him a penny. And as Rabbeinu said to Anashim of Nosson, that you have to be grateful to him, because without him you wouldn't even have one single leaf of Torah V'kutim Aran. The same thing goes about my father. His shkida and yidiyah to take out, to publish of Nosson's Sfarim. Once when he finished writing Likut Halachas, Nosson once asked him, did you feel in my Sefer the sparkling of Holocaust? He says, Hast du gefällt ihm meine Sfarim, ist das Holocaust? He said, yes. He said many times he had such a gosha in the sparkling of Holocaust that shone on him while he was copying it. He had to put the pen down. He had to stop writing. And then he put it on himself at least to print the first Chelek Aleph Berachim Chelek Aleph. So then when Nosson gave him a little bit of money for Hitzos to go to the city of Yas in Wallachia, but his family and his wife he left with nothing, with nobody looking over them. And his wife, when she had him told that he went to Wallachia, she went to Breslau and told him that if he at least bread and water, Chas v'Chalil, she and her children are going to die. They're going to die of hunger. So Nosson had to write his son, Elizabeth Tuchin, to give her every week a certain amount of money. So at least she shall have, what to eat. And my father himself, and all the road, had to mamash hold penny for penny. And in the beginning of the road, he walked for miles and miles and miles. And obviously the expense of the printing that was so heavy difficult person because he was as poor as he was our hidden. He was from the entire world. Ad Khan, the golden, pleasant language of Reb Avrom, Reb Nachman's in his Sefer about his father. We continued tomorrow.